Oh, turn the music off. All right. Let's go. Welcome, everyone to H&M Sports Academy. My name is Mo, and this is Harry. We're excited to be back in your living room, dining room, wherever the hell room we're in, your house,
Yeah.
to talk a little bit more about the NFL, the NBA. It's the off season. Guess what, guys? Everyone is undefeated. We all got a chance right now. So we're going to talk about the off season, what's going on, free agency. We're going to get into the NBA. The NBA is heating up. We're getting closer and closer to the playoffs, about 20 games plus or minus for most teams. So the final quarter of the season with an 82-game season, if my math is correct. And we're excited about all of this. As a reminder, if you are watching this particular content and you like what you see, you like what you hear, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Let your peeps know, let your fam know that we are here, we are doing it, and we're growing this channel. So we're very excited. We're live on YouTube right now, live on Facebook right now. You can see a lot of our clips on various other platforms like Instagram and TikTok. So we're excited about everything that we have going on at H&M Sports Academy, and we're back in the off season and ready to jump into some Q&A. How are you, my friend? You had a birthday recently, correct?
Yeah, I had my birthday. I got my gift. Got some. Yeah, I got my FGB hat in, so I'm feeling good. I feel like I got my right headgear on.
That's right.
New mic set up. So and today is like our Christmas, man. It's NFL free agency day, so we're grabbing some players, and I've been waiting. I've been refreshing my phone like crazy all day since lunch, since noon Eastern, trying to see what we did out here. So I'm excited, man. I'm feeling good. I like what we did so far.
Well, I'm excited as well. And that's the great thing about free agency. Sometimes you're just basically, swapping one player to another, sending a guy over here. It's kind of interesting how when that player was on the other team, you're like, man, that dude sucks. Now he comes to your team, you're like, I like that guy.
That's the most interesting part of free agency because everybody, as soon as they get a player, they go look at the highlight. It's probably 2 minutes, and he looks like the greatest player ever.
That's
and
right.
The whole fan base is excited. Everybody else from the original fan base and on the other side, they're like, that dude sucks. Like, man, I would never pay that guy that much money.
Right.
So it's a balance. I got a theory I'm gonna run by you on free agency and how to utilize it. I want you to check out and give me your thoughts on. But I do think, from there was a lot of money spent, man. I think a lot of GMs gonna get fired. We're gonna talk about that. This was probably one of the more, a lot of money got tossed around, and I just don't know if the results gonna yield, from that type of money that was spent by some of these organizations that went crazy today. So we'll talk about that.
For sure. Yeah, and that's one of those things where you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're the general manager.
Yeah.
So definitely interesting to see because there's so many different approaches to the off season. And we've talked about this many times. There's 5 ways that you can increase your team or better your team in the off season. Number 1, coaching. Number 2 is free agency. Number 3 is the draft. Number 4 is players who are on your team getting better.
Developing.
And 5 is players who are injured on your team getting healthy. And the general manager has a big say when it comes to the free agency side and the draft side, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to see how these teams change. If they think they're close and they think they need to make some small adjustments. If they
Mm-hmm.
need to make some wholesale changes, if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you're starting over. You're like, hey man, we're at the bottom of the barrel here. We're going to
Yeah.
reset a lot of draft capital and build a young team together.
And there's a the thing that we also, there's a floor that you have to spend against too in free agency. So
That's
some
right.
organizations are strategically trying to tank and spend money, right? So you have to you can't hold it. You got to be able to utilize it in some way.
Yeah.
So it throws off the market for a bunch of players. So you see a huge wave of players that didn't sign today, not because they're not good players, but because this first wave came out and it threw the whole entire the baseline of what these guys should be making at their positions. They threw it out of whack.
Yeah.
When you look at certain teams, what they did, the Raiders, the Titans, they threw so much money at some of these guys, and
Hmm.
I would say maybe 30% aren't even household names. If I went to the casual common fan and said, who's Naylor? And at wide receiver, they'll look at you like you got three heads, but this guy just made over what, 40-50 million today.
Oh
So
man,
yeah.
Alec Pierce.
Oh my God. Yeah. I actually like Alec Pierce. I like what he does. He's a low volume, high production guy. He only had
Hmm.
like 40 catches, 40
Hmm.
something odd catches, and went over 1,000 yards. So
Mm.
big kid out of Cincinnati. I liked him since he came into the league, and he's developed nicely these last 3-4 years. But again, the other piece of free agency is this, guys. It takes two to tango, right?
Hmm.
Everybody says go get this player, go get that player. What you don't see, and you talk about it a lot, which is one, the relationships, right? You see a lot of position coaches that were in former places, recruiting guys to come. The second piece is the player actually has to want to come and play for you, right?
Yeah.
So you as an organization can want a guy all you want to, but if he doesn't want to play for you and he's got ties somewhere else,
Yeah.
then and the money's about equal, you get left out sometimes. And the urgency, the timing of everything, a lot of these deals are made under the gun, right? You as a player either have to sign because if somebody signs after you and they take up all the money,
Hmm.
you can't get left the musical chair. You kind of left standing there with the music. So in the end, free agency is, my theory. We'll talk about how to utilize it, but there was some great talent out here that went to some places I think that's going to help a lot of these teams potentially, advance and go a little bit further than what they went, this past season.
That's right. That is right. And today, what we're going to be doing to piggyback off of those things that you were just talking about,
Yeah.
we're going to be doing a Q&A. We're going to cover our teams, the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys, and we're going to hit some good questions that we thought might be important
Yeah.
to talk about,
Hmm.
and hit the Q&A. Then we'll also kind of close out talking about the Los Angeles Lakers as we get ready for the NBA playoffs in the
Yeah.
final quarter of the
There's
season.
some
So
nasty work going on with the Lakers, man. A lot of smut being put on Bron's name because he missed the last game here. And
to get
I saw a
that
bunch of
out. And
I saw a bunch of noise on Twitter about my guy Bron that I don't like. So as the resident Bron protector, the resident Bron lover, I gotta protect my guy, man. I'm hearing a lot of noise on Bron that I don't like.
yeah, some weird people out there that say some odd things when it comes to. I just, the unfortunate thing about having those characters on X that you can spit out.
Yeah.
This free media that we have, as we here at HM Sports Academy take advantage of. We hope to do it in a very a way that does not take away from the integrity of reporting and speaking, but at the same time, you give some people some characters and you give them the internet and they'll put anything out there. And some people are just really, 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 really weird when it comes to stuff they say about LeBron. So
yeah,
certainly things to get into.
For sure.
Let's do some Q&A.
Yeah.
Let's hop into this thing really quick.
Uh-huh.
Get the ball rolling. We're going to hit these questions and we'll speak on those questions for our teams, the Chicago Bears, who might be the Indiana Bears, That's another story for
Man, I went to the barber shop and my barber was calling us the Hammond Bear. What the hell are you talking about? The Gary Bears. Hold on,
Look
man.
in
So
the world.
yeah.
Man, ain't no way, man. They can't do that. They know better than that. They
Nah,
gotta
it's just negotiations, man. Negotiations take, you got to go through drastic measures sometimes to get what you want out of these things. So
Yep. So we'll talk Bears, we'll talk Cowboys. Okay, so I got a question for you.
yeah.
You can bounce this back. But for the Chicago Bears, what offseason move has you the most excited to date? So as they've gotten into the offseason, we've already started with free agency. We've already started with changes in the organization, moves, things projected out. Is there anything that you can say really has you excited about one move that you've made so far?
I really, really, really love this whole, and it happened today. So I'm not kind of not being a prisoner of the moment. But I think, what did I talk about, man? I talked about speed, right? And I talked about dread, skinny ankles. And two of the guys that we grabbed today had both those characteristics. But I'm going to go specifically to one, Kobe Bryant, man, out of Seattle. Free safety. I think he's smart. He plays fast. He's super, super athletic, man, and he diagnoses and reads so quickly. One of the big things, we put Dennis Allen in a position this year where he really had to do a lot with a little. When I say that, we had a bunch of injuries in the secondary, and we had a bunch of injuries at linebacker, and we had to pretty much blitz. You guys saw us even in the NFC Championship game. I got ahead of myself. Even in the divisional game, we blitzed the hell out of the Rams because that was the only way we could get pressure, right?
Yeah.
A part of us, what we did today and grabbing Kobe in free agency. One, I love his attitude. He brings a winner's mentality. He also brings a level of toughness that I love as well. And it also gave me a signal too. Normally, Ryan Pace was a relative athletic score guy. You hit a RAS score a lot where you had the 8.5 to 9 is his normal kind of baseline of who he drafts and who he brings in free agency. And I think Kobe's a 5.91 guy. So athletically, he didn't test off the charts, but on the field, man, he is all over the place. And he's just one of those guys who I think plays football better than what maybe, testing in a combine setting would look like. He's also a guy who's going to give us some ability to be flexible on the back end. He's going to Al Harris University. So you take that guy, you're throwing with Al Harris, you're throwing with Dennis Allen, and he's young. I think he just hit 26. He's 26, 27, headed into his prime, and his cap hit's only, 2.5 million or so, less than or right at $3 million for this year. King Poles did it again. And he got him, at a pretty good rate. I think 13 million a year for starting. He's a hybrid, free safety, strong safety, and I really love that move. It signaled to me where we're headed to in the draft, and it also signaled to me around what I saw on film and what I saw on tape was we need to get faster, we need to get quicker, and we need to get more aggressive on our defense. And I think that checked the box there today.
Yeah, I mean, Nahshon Wright has the advantage of playing for Al Harris, and Nahshon's looking for a lot of money.
Yeah,
and it doesn't sound like he's gonna get it, but at least he has put himself in the market.
Yeah,
and one of the things that you have is a need for speed, a need for pass rush, a need for playmaking on defense. And this guy gives you that, and he comes from the pedigree of, having won and won a championship. And he got to be pretty young if he's named after Kobe Bryant. So
yeah, it's like the whole Jalen's, right? You got 1,000 Jalen's running around the NBA. You got 1,000 Kobe's running around now in sports, man.
1,000 Jalen's, 1,000.
Right.
Yep. A lot of them. So.
And I got one more sneaky move too that I really love as my 1B. and that's our center. We had to grab a center. We actually grabbed Garrett Bradbury out of New England. Probably a name most everybody else probably won't know, not because he's a center. He's kind of quiet. Yeah. But when I did a little digging, we lost Drew Dahlman to a pre, kind of an early retirement. We weren't expecting that, and we had to pivot really quickly. And when you saw the free agency, and when you saw what the Tyler Lindenbaum went to the Raiders, man, and broke the bank, $27 million, reset the center market, and we got Garrett for $5 million.
That's crazy.
All he did was, 2 years ago, he helped a guy called Sam Darnold in Minnesota, got them to where they had, I want to say they were like 14-3 or something like that, and then he went on over to New England and helped a little kid out called Drake May to almost a MVP year. Got to the Super Bowl. Not flashy, but these are the type of moves, we're going to look in the season. And I think I'm going to look back on that move and say, wow, that was huge. And it was critical for us to pivot so quickly because Drew Dahlman wasn't a Pro Bowler. He's in his prime. And we just grabbed him last year, remember? Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, we finally got it shored up. He's a Stanford guy. He called Andrew Luck, probably got him, set up with some job over at Stanford. He robbed us for $34 million, and I take that back. He didn't rob us. He gave us a great year, and decided that he wanted to hang it up. His dad was an NFL guy too. He used to play for the 49ers. So said he saw his dad go through a bunch of injuries, and he didn't want to end up there. But I'm sure that $30 million we gave him didn't hurt.
You have that advantage now if you if you can cash in early, smart, and you're smart with your money, you feel good about it, then you can get in and get out before the NFL eats you up and spits you out on the back end. And I guess some of that money is good money. You make yourself $30-40 million. That's you're supposed to make that work.
It's the opposite of what we talk about with guys losing money and not managing, right? You get certain guys like a Drew Dahlman who's super intelligent. He's I want to say a chemical engineer, real sharp guy. So he knows, and he's playing a dangerous position at center. Not a lot of centers walking away from the game healthy with the right mind and the right body. So I commend him. I respect his decision, but it left us high and dry, and we had to pivot. Yeah, we had to pivot. So we found what I think is a serviceable piece. Is he going to be, is Bradbury going to be better than Drew? Probably not, but it could be much worse. And fun fact, Bradbury played next to Joe Thuney in North Carolina State. So you got some, again, relationships, right? You throw him in between Thuney and then you throw him in between Jonah Jackson. I think we get a really high level, production out of him at center. So that was another sneaky good move I liked.
Yeah, so that's a pretty small drop off relative to what you could have had there.
Yeah.
He's definitely a real pro, and you got him for a great price as far as the salary is concerned. And then the offensive line, the chemistry is probably more important for the offensive line than anywhere else. And so the fact that he has some ties with Joe, I mean, it all works together to create that relationship that you have. So you got to protect your asset there, and Caleb.
Got to keep him upright, man.
Got to keep him upright, and that's the biggest way is up the middle. So big move. Definitely understand that. For
what about you? What about Dallas? How you feeling?
Dallas,
the critical move.
I will say this to me. We still making moves, and we made some moves today. But to me, the biggest offseason move is hiring Christian Parker as a defensive coordinator and bringing him in and the staff that he's brought in. I honestly believe that you lined up our defense with the same players last year as we had this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We might go from 31 to
15.
20.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just off of competency, being lined up in the right place, having a system, having an approach, and we can at least have that, and that's just with the same players, no development. I'm talking about the whole thing, meaning as a rock who's still a rookie, everything, right? And so that is such a big deal for the Cowboys to change their approach when it comes to the coaching staff. And then I just think it's a force multiplier with the people that he added to the staff, where almost every position can be elevated just a little bit, you know, and how do you increase, you don't have to add a super duper star that's going to make your team, 50% better just by himself. You can have 5 people get 10% better. And I think that the coaches can have a big effect on that. So from a team standpoint, I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen so far. And then that will lead into our off-season moves and what we do and the competency there.
Right. He's like I said, I think he's an awesome acquisition off that Vic Fangio tree. You already saw some fruit, some of that connection and some of his previous work bear fruit today, right? You got Rashawn Gary out of Green Bay while he was the quality control coach over in Green Bay when Green Bay actually drafted him. A lot of noise around, not noise, I guess, people have different feelings around Rashawn Gary. He's a Michigan guy. I think he topped out at 10.5 sacks at his peak in his career. And I think last year he was around 7.5. He struggled a bit losing not struggled a bit. I think once he lost Micah Parsons, he started to, receive more attention from the offensive lineman than he did, but when Micah was there. So it took him a little while to adjust. But I think in that system, he goes back and he gets to play with Kenny Clark. That's a familiar face. And you also throw him next to Williams. And I actually do like, that pairing as far as just like they say, the synergy of what you guys got going on. And he's he can actually he does pretty well against the run. He's not terrible against the run.
He's a very stout run defender. So you put him in there in the defensive line along with the other guys, Clark and QnA and Osa and stuff, and you're pretty good at up front stopping the run just with that acquisition. I know we'll make some moves with linebacker and probably another edge guy. The guys in the box, etc. All of those things in the run fits work together. But you have a guy like Gary who you can count on that when it comes down to it. And he's not the guy that's going to be your leading sack guy anyway. He's the guy who plays off of what you're hoping if you're Dallas is that Ezraku turns the corner and becomes.
He had surgery. I thought I saw he had a hip or something.
He had surgery for he had a little tear in his labrum in his hip. And he played through it, and it's a nagging injury more so than just a debilitating one. But you need to fix it, and so
clean up,
clean it up, and do it early in the off season so he can be ready to go. But he needed to get that done. And once again, I took him from the player that has to get better bucket to the player that has to get healthy bucket, right? So it hurts because he needs to get better. But I think he won't be in that bucket for a very long time because of the turnaround. I think, by the end of the summer, ready.
Well, that's the thing. And that's probably, why you guys signed Gary today. You need some depth, right? A lot of times we look at this NFL season is a war of attrition when you talk about health. And, fast forward week 1 to week, to the playoffs, you're almost looking at a completely different roster in some sense, right? You got a bunch of guys playing and you're really leaning into that. So that was going to be my analogy on free agency, which is I think free agency is almost, it gives you your floor, it gives you a foundation, right? You get to plug some holes, you get to, you want to walk into the draft without major needs, right? So you're going to overpay a little bit. Free agency is meant around paying, for some of that talent. But at least it allows you flexibility walking into walking into the draft. And it allows you to start looking at some ceiling guys, right? So some players that, the Ruben Bain, if he takes a little bit of a tumble and you guys are sitting there at 12, and you can, a guy who didn't necessarily meet the measurables, now you could take a flyer on a Ruben Bain, you pair him with Rashawn Gary, and now you're cooking, right? Or Metsador, if you want to go a little bit earlier there. And those guys are elite pass rushers. They meet your size requirements and the sense of the height and weight. You start looking at, some of the age and arm length and all that stuff that, a lot of coming out of the combine, you start getting all of that noise. But I do think it gives you guys some flexibility where you can take a bang if he falls, or take a Mesidor with a couple of question marks around him, and not feel like you are beholden to the success of those guys in the draft. What do you think about that?
No doubt about it. That's the thing. You do not want to be with a gaping hole going into the draft, and then hoping that person falls to you. Then you start doing desperate stuff. You reach, you take a guy for need versus best available type situation. And that's not a good situation. And look, the living, breathing organism, you better believe coaches know what you're desperate for. They know exactly what you need, and they're willing, to work with you and to take advantage of your desperation. Next thing you know, they got you moving up for a haul,
right,
and all types of stuff, because they got leverage on you. So you can't give any of that. You can't give in on that if you're a team. And the best way to do that is to, like you said, raise your floor. Make sure you got a baseline to have your holes taken care of. That way you don't have to reach.
Yeah, and I think now that you asked the question, what was the move I'm most excited for, and I asked you the same thing this offseason. And honestly, I think the best move is probably one that we didn't make, right? Both your franchise and my franchise, which was this Crosby. Ravens gave up 2 firsts to get to get Max, and he's an awesome player. I communicated in the last pod when we were talking, I didn't think he was worth that. Sometimes it's exactly what you said. You get a bunch of needy and desperate teams coming into the off season or going into the off season, and we started to overvalue some guys. And I think Max fell into that category for me. Is he a great player? Is he really good? Yeah, but he's also 29 with injuries, and to give up 2 firsts is insane. But I also heard the Cowboys gave up 2 firsts and offered 2 firsts, and the Bears offered the same thing, and it just so happened the Ravens had better draft position, so they went with the draft position. So sometimes you get saved from yourself, and I think this is one where we might have got saved from ourselves a little bit, to where we didn't give up a ton of draft capital for a guy who potentially you can at his age, he goes down. It's similar to the Micah Parsons with Green Bay. They put a lot of eggs in one basket, and it cracked, and now you're left depleted at that position, and you've chokeholded your salary cap for future years.
No, man, I didn't want to do that. I don't want to give up. I heard there, like you said, 2 firsts was out there. I think it was a first. Also, Diggy Zua was an option, like a player and a
player, yeah.
And then the Ravens just jumped in and said, "Look, we got 2 firsts. Take it or leave it, or else we walking."
Right.
They just had to jump, and they went on and did it. And I'm sure they're glad, they were glad to do it, because the Ravens, by the way, they have the 14th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
They don't draft very often with Lamar Jackson and quarterback and stuff, right? So this is a fair situation. I think they're thinking, well, next year we won't be, next year we might be 28, 29, 30th, 31st, you know what I mean? So that's what they're thinking when it comes down to it. But I'm not going to get into Ravens talk here, but your quarterback is off injured. Your running back's got a lot of miles on him. You definitely thin your depth out, and you won't be drafting any young guys. If you get injured, you'd be in trouble here quick.
Yeah, and I know this is not a Ravens channel, but Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton already kind of beefing today over, Marlon Humphrey said kind of some slick stuff about Kyle Hamilton and, the kind of guy that he is. You also looked at how that defense fell apart. You got not Roshan, what's his name? Middle linebacker, Roquan, who came from the Bears. Who came from Chicago. And I think he's a shell of himself. That defense got beat up pretty good, last year. And they didn't show well at all. So you're right. Again, this is a lot of times, and I've been there. I speak from experience. I'll move it back over to talking Bears. We traded for Jay Cutler. We threw, a lot of draft capital into that, and it resulted in some, an NFC Championship appearance, but not a Super Bowl appearance. We threw a lot of capital at Khalil Mack, and ultimately it got us nothing but a first round, divisional round exit, I think, from the playoffs. So being the offseason champion doesn't always, the days like today, I hear a lot of fans get into the whole, what are you doing? Or certain teams are too quiet. And honestly, the really good teams don't really mess with free agency too much. They don't leverage the future through free agency. So when I look at this thing with the Ravens, they pushed all the chips to the middle of the table. But to your point, let's see how that works out over the course of 17 games. And then I call it they're mentally fragile. They lost the head coach. They got a quarterback who's, trying to get over the hump. And now you add in, Max Crosby, this is the first time he's really been under the microscope to produce too, right? So let's see how he handles the expectations of, being the guy that's expected to. Now 10.5 sacks ain't good enough. You need to be up around 15 plus.
No doubt. And look, without getting into too much of the AFC North.
Right.
How you feel if you Joe Burrow, when you're saying, man, you tell me I got there with Max Crosby, okay,
Myles Garrett,
I got Myles Garrett, and I got TJ Watt. Man, what the hell?
And he can't stay out of the hospital, man. They know him by first name. He the local Cincinnati wherever they taking him, he already knows. Cincinnati's been, I don't know what they picked up today. I know it wasn't an offensive tackle. They need to be on the phone with Decker or with what's his name, Williams out of San Francisco to help get him some protection ASAP. Because if not, it's not going to be pretty for Cincinnati.
No doubt. Question number 2.
Yeah.
What thing concerns you the most to date going into the new year?
I think I kind of touched on it, but the thing that concerns me is the offensive line for the Bears. I thought we were in a good spot, and this living, breathing organism, man. We come out of last year, and that was the one, position group that I thought we were locked in at. And in the matter of, losing Ozzie Trapillo, who was our left tackle, we lost him in the wild card game with a patellar, injury to his knee, which is for a big man, that's a terrible injury. We might not be able to get him back until like week 8 of next season. And then, Drew Dahlman just retires out of the blue. I was really looking forward to us being able to, have another year in the system with Drew Dahlman calling, kind of leading the charge up front, calling the protections out and giving us that stability. And, we really just from an offensive standpoint, we did not show well up front like I wanted to in the divisional round. And I went back because Drew retired. And I watched him in that game, and I'm not trying to say this to be in the moment. That was probably his worst game. So he might have known then that, his body failing him a little bit and he's not able to, to play at a high level. So, it might be a blessing in disguise, but right now it feels a little bit uneasy. Our left tackle position. We just about an hour ago, we re-signed Braxton Jones, our left tackle, who was starting last year, who ended up getting hurt and ended up losing his job to Ozzie Trapillo. So not a bad, stopgap, but he's also, anytime a guy gets beat out and then you re-sign him, I don't want to put rose-colored glasses on that either. But it saves us, again, when you look at, some of these costs in free agency and what it takes to get a left tackle. We probably need to draft one, which I think we will probably grab someone in the draft. But again, I thought it was a position group that we had, locked and ready, locked and loaded to go in the year 2 and be in system and really get going. And now we got a new center, which kind of derails that synergy, right? And now we need a left tackle, and in the sense of just looking at it in the long term, that's when they gave me a little bit of cause for pause, because I was looking at other positions to improve at, and now we got to spend draft capital at both left tackle and center. I guarantee we take a left tackle, and I guarantee we'll take a project center. We'll take a project left tackle in the draft as well.
You won't take them in the first round, though, will you?
No, I think we'll go. We got 2 seconds now, so I think you'll see us go early at center. Try to get the best center available that we can, and I think we'll take a left tackle developmental probably later in the 6th or 7th round.
Yeah, that's definitely something to be concerned about, and I mean that's kind of the head of the all the way your offense is set up, your team is set up. It's very, offensively,
Driven.
front
Mm-hmm.
comes to that leading the show as far as the ability. You got to think Caleb's going to take another step forward, so your offense is poised. You really can't afford to have a situation where Caleb is progressed, he's gotten better, but your offensive line is bad, so you don't even see it because he's under pressure all the time and throwing away and eating it and all this other stuff just because he doesn't have enough protection. And you're like, well, how's the offense struggling? You know what I'm saying? Because the offensive line is kind of the head of the snake on that. So
yeah,
that would make sense to me on your end.
Yeah. What about you? What's giving you a little concern for Dallas?
Yeah, I just think we got a lot of moving parts as far as the defense is concerned because we got a lot of turnover, and I just don't know if we get to a point where we got a gel fast enough to kind of hit the deck running. We have a tough schedule. The NFC East plays the NFC West and the AFC South. So you're telling me that Robert Salah's out there loading up in Tennessee. Jacksonville got a team that they feel like they missed the opportunity last year. Houston's deep, literally aliens out there on defense. And so we're in a situation where even if our offense is prolific, we already got a situation where the defense has got to be able to be competent early on. And I don't know if new coaching staff, new positions, new players, a new system. We're going to an odd front. A lot of stuff moving around. And this is a more complex defense. I mean, shoot, the players couldn't execute Eberflus defense, and that's one of the most static defenses you got.
Right.
I'm saying they got people, offsetting and disguising and stemming and moving left and stuff. And it's like, dude, are these guys gonna be ready to execute this, or we're gonna look like fools out there for 3 weeks before it comes together? You know what I'm saying? And that could bury you early on in the season before you even get started. So I'm just, I just with all of the new players and coaches and stuff, maybe we get lucky, and because we got so many new faces, it's all brand new for everyone. Or maybe if we get like a Nakobe Dean who was in that system before,
right?
Or something like that, then maybe it helps keep guys organized. But I just feel like, man, we might look bad, and they're gonna be like, what did Dallas do in the offseason to get better? You know what I mean? They're out there playing their butts off, playing hard, good players too.
Well, and I look at it a couple of different ways, and I feel like you guys, schedule-wise, it always feel like the Cowboys have one of the tougher schedules, and I haven't, always been, locked in and completely what I would say, understanding of all the schedules you had over the last 5 years. But I guess maybe because the magnitude of your games always feel you guys have big games, and this is, if we'd looked at this 2-3 years ago, we like AFC South almost, I'm not gonna say a layup, but you're probably looking at least splitting, going 3-3. And now you're right, man. Not so much. The Texans, Tennessee, what they did today to bolster up that defensive line, and if they grab, again, a Bain or a Bailey and throw that in there, now you're looking at a really, really, really talented defensive unit out there. You throw in Jacksonville, who made the playoffs, and they're not an easy out, and then Indianapolis. When I look at what they're doing, they're not bad either, right? So I said all that to say, defensively normally is a little bit ahead of offense early on. So that might be a saving grace, right? That you guys play hard, play fast, and then you're in the right spots. You can, with that offense that you have, maybe your offense is your defense the first couple of weeks. And Shotty's smart. He also understands what the reality is of this team and what the strength is. And I think he's going to play to that, to try to help protect that defense in the first couple of weeks to give you some time.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I have no doubts about that. The confidence is just as much as I'm concerned on the other side. I feel pretty confident on the offensive side. Schottenheimer will, dial it up and maybe try to control the clock, run the ball, be a little physical, and then execute, go down there and score, and just kind of take your time so that the defense ain't out there all day. I see all of that. You got the kick. Obviously, we're trying to get Brandon Aubrey signed. But if you get him signed, you can kick and score points and so forth. So not really, feel like that's good there. But that's my biggest concern. And I don't mean to say that as though it's never going to be good next year. It's just how quickly it takes for them to figure it out.
Well, that's the thing too. I think, as we progress down the road with this thing, this might be one of those years where you got to make hay against what I call quarterbacks that might not be as talented as the Purdy's, right? Because you said you got the NFC West, is that right?
Yeah. So you got to see Arizona's probably
the
on them. You know what I'm saying? But with Seattle and the Rams,
you got Arizona's down. You got. Yeah, but you're gonna have Tennessee, right? You got to win that game just because you got to get Dak to outplay Cam Ward. You got to get Dak to outplay Daniels coming out of Danny Dimes coming off an Achilles rupture. You got to get some help from your defense to play at least at a level where they make it tough for the easy guys. That's the most frustrating part of the season when you're giving it up and losing games to some of the lesser QBs. Because as you know it, you start playing the good ones. You like shit. They were gonna light me up anyway. You really got a shot. So, DJ, but I hear you. Yeah,
I think Shroud. I need you to go back to that Pittsburgh game. I need you to go back to the New England game.
CJ cut his dress and gave his life back to Christ, man. I think I don't know who gave their life to Christ more, him or Justin Fields. Justin Fields got saved 6 times last year. And CJ. CJ somewhere doing a Mormon mission somewhere, man, trying to get his stuff back right, but he's still seeing ghosts.
If I was Charles Barkley, I would probably say, man, Jesus Christ himself couldn't save you from that. Right. There ain't nobody who would save you from how bad you look, bro. But
man, you score 10 points against the Texans, man, you good. Don't worry about it.
Look, we got that thing against that defense. We just might punt it on second down.
Yeah, just punt on second down, give it back to CJ, man. So, oh man, but I hear you. Now was the time of year where I think we're all seeing ghosts, right? We know our weaknesses. We know kind of the knowns, what was successful last year. At the end of the day, I really think about this thing with you guys, and I lean back to. It can't get much worse than it was last year, bro. I hate to say it. On defense.
Oh yeah.
You guys played as probably as bad as you can play on defense, and you still were right there in playoff contention, right? So, I'm not saying it's going to be, like I say, a quick fix, but I do think with the new DC and with some of the new talent that you guys coming in, and you got like 2 first-round picks mean a lot, man. You can grab. This is a really talented draft on defense. I think you guys can grab two top 20 guys in the draft and really transform this team, whether it be on the offensive or defensive side of the ball to help you.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, I think, but for both of us, I think that question is important because I don't want to be like the Commanders last year, just riding saying, "Hey man, we on our way, bro. Dude, we one player away from getting to the top, and we're right there." You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we can't make it playoffs. You have a better argument to say it because you went to the divisional round, etc. But we know that's not how this works. That has nothing. It's not how this works. You don't carry anything over like that. It just doesn't work that way. You have to get better overall across the board. So that's why I thought it was a good question.
No, it's a damn good question, and actually Ben Johnson, they asked him at the, I want to say the end of season, as far as the exit meetings, how do you think this carries over the next year? And he said it doesn't. We starting from ground zero, and it kind of threw me. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? There's a lot of good stuff that we could build on, and when you really think about it, you truly are starting over with the salary cap. And with free agency and just all the movement, you really go into each season with a new, what I call clean slate, and you have to rebuild that thing up and get it to where you wanted to go. And from like I say, from a historical standpoint, I do think the Cowboys, you guys did some like early big games. Last year was the Eagles first, right out the gates, right?
Dude,
Your bright light.
they got us going to Brazil next year at the beginning of the season, I think.
Yeah. So I think that's the other piece of it. Like you said, it's not, you don't get a chance to kind of ease your way into it from underneath the bright lights out there on a sleepy, Sunday 1:00 game, and kind of mixed in with everybody else. Now you guys are prime time all the time. So,
and that's the gift and the curse right there, because everyone's, even if you suck, everyone knows that if they can beat you, then they got a nice little feather in the cap that looks good. Nobody really sleeps on your team, and you always kind of got to take that into account. And you just, and then, I feel like the NFL is like, hey, how can we, what kind of marquee team can we set up? And this is still Dallas. This is still Dallas in there against another good team. They'll show up, you know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, you got Cowboys playing some top team just to make the ratings look good. And it's like, yeah, man, but we trying to win too, man. Why you can we play some tomato cans? You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I think the league isn't happy with you guys right now. And I say that because normally Dallas is a circus, right? There's a lot of noise.
Right.
And this is the sign of your organization going in the right direction. When you get adults in the room, and it's just quiet, right? Even with the pickings, I haven't heard, the moves have just been stated. They've been, press release comes out. Not a lot of noise around them, and I think it's a situation where the organization from the coaching staff to the brass is starting to wake up to say, we're gonna be serious about this thing. Not that you weren't serious. I think it was just a different marketing strategy. Now the marketing strategy is what you talked about earlier in the year, and what we talked about earlier in the year is building the culture. It's not the Patriot way. Cowboy, we don't know what we're naming it just yet for the Cowboys and for the Bears, but we know what it looks like and we know what it feels like. Yeah. And I feel like, regardless of what's happened here in the last, 2 months since the season ended for you guys, it's been eerily quiet in Dallas. And that's normally not the question. That's normally not the case with you guys, right?
You got ESPN and Fox out there looking for anything. They're just making up stuff, man. Yeah, this thing right here, and this guy, he might be trading this, and this guy just making up stuff, taking anything they can to build a story off of it, because just throwing the Cowboys name into the mix on everything create some type of buzz in one way or another. So somebody can talk bad about it, and I like Colin, but sometimes Colin does that type of stuff. Just talking about the Cowboys, because the Cowboys signed Javonte Williams, and saying the Cowboys don't know how to run an organization because the Seattle Seahawks let Kenneth Walker go. And I'm like, they really don't have anything to do with each other. I mean, what do they have to do with each other when it comes down to it? And Kenneth Walker was due for a big payday, and they didn't want to pay him on that. We got Javonte Williams for $6 million.
Right.
Totally different story, but it's like, the Cowboys, this is how Seattle runs this is how you run a franchise, and this is how you don't. And it's like, bro, you're stretching it, man. They got nothing to do with each other. They really
nothing. And in the end, I love Kenneth. That was my number one free agent right? That's who I wanted. Yeah. And still, I think he came in at what, 15 million, and that's a pretty high number for a running back. So Kansas City, they needed that type of move, and it makes sense. I think Andy Reid's a sharp guy. I know he knows offense, and I understand exactly what he's doing, because Kenneth Walker can cover a lot of holes. But when you look at each team,
until Mahomes gets healthy, but each team, has, like I said, different money allocated in different positions. And I think for Dallas, you guys couldn't dump 15 million in the running back position and still keep Pickens, right? So had you guys, done something different and lost Pickens, I could hear Colin screaming about that too. Around, this is the modern NFL. How could you let a guy who's that talented walk away, right? And not hammer out a deal. So yeah, can't win with him, can't win without him. So that's what it is, man.
Yeah.
Moving on. In the NFC, we got these teams. We're NFC teams.
Yeah.
Outside of the Bears, who are going to be a problem, and the Cowboys, who would like to be a problem. What NFC team do you see as a problem going into the new season?
I hate to say it. I hate to say it because they just beat us, the Rams.
Yeah.
They, what's the name? Les Snead, is that who it is over there? The GM? Is that him?
F them picks, that's right.
F them picks. He is attacking and their biggest weakness, which was their secondary. I got it written down. They re-signed, well, not re-signed. They went and got Jalen Watson. They got OJ McDuffie out of Kansas City.
Yeah.
They re-signed Cam Curl, who was a safety he's the one who picked off Caleb on that last drive and basically sent them to the NFC Championship game. And then Tyler Higbee at tight end, which is, they love that 13 personnel with 3 tight end sets. They re-signed him. And, the offense stays together. The defense gets stronger. That's a team, and Sean McVay, he's just, a mastermind calling plays. And am I afraid of them? No. But I also understand and I can see when teams got better, and they got much better here the last couple of weeks. It's not often you make an NFC Championship game and you're able to kind of retool and get stronger the way they have. And I think, they shored up quite a bit on that back end in their secondary, and they're going to need it facing the, NFC West. And they got Mike Evans coming over. They got, a bunch of the Bears and a bunch of teams that like to throw it around. So this puts them in a new position to where they won't get in a bunch. They got a bunch of shootouts last year, and they just so happen to win them. This kind of minimizes some of those shootouts, and instead of some of those 32, 36 games or 35, 38 games, you'll start to see them win by 6, 7, 8 points. So that's the team that really kind of put me on notice as if we're chasing greatness and they've already beaten us, they're a couple of steps ahead. So we got some work to do to get better and try to catch the Rams.
Yeah, and they, because they're chasing Seattle, then it's like Seattle's almost like the rabbit, you know what I mean, and so forth, and the carrot that's out there, and they're chasing them, so they're continuing to retool because they feel like they were so close with them. My only hope for the Rams, as far as the team, is that they just get old all of a sudden. They made a run last year. Monte Adams, he's up there. You got Stafford, he's up there.
Right.
You got some young players. Also, the defense is pretty young, but Tyler Higbee has had injuries in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So my only thing with them is just maybe they break down and have after making some long runs that they have some injuries, because the NFC East plays the NFC West, and so the Cowboys, I'm sure they're gonna line us up on a Monday night, you know what I'm saying, and have us going out to Los Angeles and so forth, and we'll probably be on a short week, and they'll be off of a bye or something like that, and line it up so we set us up for failure in that situation. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah. What about you, man? What team in the NFC is giving you?
I'm gonna stay out there too, because I said this because the NFC East plays the NFC West. So I went out division, and I said it's the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Similar thing. They are a team that's getting older, and they have injuries, and so you hope that maybe they break down and continue in that space. But the reality is San Francisco has gotten after Dallas the last couple of times they played. The Shanahan system has been difficult, so I would like to see if the Christian Parker system is a little bit more
wide zone friendly, man.
Yeah, it just a little bit more of a challenge for San Francisco to keep them off balance and keep them a little bit guessing when it comes to what we're doing, and this allows our offense to make some plays. But they're like a machine, man. You plug the right players in. They got a good system. McCaffrey is probably a Hall of Fame player at this point.
I would say so.
They just kind of dump truck you, man. They keep going and they run over you, and next thing you know, you look up, they run the scoreboard up. I don't know if we got to travel to them, if they got to travel to us, but I think it would be very, very nice if the Cowboys could turn that around and beat San Francisco. I think that would mean a lot as far as the culture of the team. Because honestly, I don't think that San Francisco has always been better. I think they've just been more confident going into the game and more prepared.
Yeah, man. They walked out with that boom box, man.
Right.
playing
so, Trent Williams, we already got Debo, then y'all can keep the boom box. Just get rid of them. Let Purdy drag the boom box out there. You know what I'm saying? The whole fight is intimidating.
No, Purdy dug in, and historically San Francisco does draft well. They get a lot. I think that San Francisco is one of those organizations, and they're scary. The reason they're scary to me, they probably endured from an injury standpoint. They were decimated, right? And they still found a way to make it to the divisional round. So you add a few pieces. You add a Mike Evans. I know Mike hasn't been the healthiest. I think you get
doubling down. They're doubling down on the MASH unit.
Yeah, they practice on that radioactive field out there. So maybe that's our only hope. That radioactive practice field and everything else they got going on out there. But all jokes aside, I really think the Shanahan scheme. I was smiling while you were talking. We got a blueprint on how to beat it. Your boy McDonald, who you speak so highly of out of Seattle, he gave us the answers to the test.
That's
Only
right.
thing is, everybody don't have those horses, man. Everybody don't have that type of Jimmys and Joes to execute that style of a too high safety look and just kicking everybody ass up front. And they basically bludgeoned San Francisco in that playoff game. It wasn't even close.
No.
But they're gonna come back angry. I think they licked their wounds. They kind of tipped their hat to the rest of the league and said, "Yeah, we gave y'all hell last year with all these injuries. Imagine what we're gonna do when we get healthy," which is your one of your 5 components, which is getting healthier, right? So I agree that the 49ers, what you and I can hope for is again another season of attrition, right? Because they beat up on each other.
That's right. Maybe they beat up on each other, but at some point when they leave the division, and I don't know who they play, they do not play the AFC South. Who do y'all play in the AFC?
Next year we have I want to say we play the AFC East. We got the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets.
Okay, so they do have the AFC North. Mm-hmm. So that's nice because that can be a tough a tough conference. So they're gonna be playing Cincinnati and the Steelers to see if the Steelers can turn a corner. You know what I'm saying? And the Browns defense to see if they so maybe the AFC North can hand them some losses and do us a little bit of solid right there.
I would not be mad at that. We had to go up against the AFC North this year, and we actually, I think it made us better. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, now Max Crosby's over there. Trey Hendrickson, whatever they decide to do with him over in Cincinnati, but they gonna get their pound of flesh though. Those guys are really difficult to block up. So San Francisco is a squad that you also you touched on it. Kittle's not getting any younger. McCaffrey's the tread on that tire is pretty thin too, right?
Achilles too, right?
Achilles, hammies, he's got a lot of soft tissue stuff going on. He's a Maserati, man, and they treat him like a damn dump truck. He's carrying all kind of lumber and people just throwing shit in there, taking it to the junk, the junkyard to do all those gravel, everything. And he's a damn Lamborghini. He's getting it done. But to your point, by I would say by the playoffs, he was probably at 70-75% of that. He was really worn down. So I think that's a good call by you. San Francisco, they reload, and I think they're going to draft well. They normally draft well too, so they're going to be a tough out.
No doubt, no
So we
doubt.
both went NFC West, which makes sense because they also produced what 3 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, we've got to stop that with them because you can't be in a situation where the only way you make the playoffs is if you win first place in your division. We got to fix that. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting next year to see how that goes. When it comes down to it. So let's move forward here. Let's get some NBA action.
Yeah.
And let's talk Lakers here. Do you think the Lakers can get to the 3rd seed? Okay, they're really only like 2 games out of 3rd seed because they're behind Minnesota and Denver and Houston, I think. And I think Houston has 2 games up on them, or a game and a half between the 3 spots. So obviously with 19, 20 games left, there's plenty of games left. But do you think they can do it from a play standpoint and and get up there?
I do. The Lakers are when engaged, and we talked about it offline a little bit. When their energy is right and when they come in with the right mindset, they are probably one of the top 5 teams in the NBA right now. They are absolute hell to deal with.
Yeah,
Austin Reeves, you got Luka, who he's gonna get you 35 just rolling out of bed, and then you throw Bron in when he's locked in and engaged. Offensively, if they own their game, they can put up 120 and get you up out of there pretty quickly. This week they got Denver, and I want to say they have Minnesota.
That's right.
And right there. So to answer your question, hell yeah, we win 2 games this week, and I think we put ourselves in pretty good position to be a 3rd seed.
At least a 5th seed, maybe pushing to a 4th.
I love the Kennard, man. He's transformed what I think the level and the place that I think this team can go, and it's not going to really show itself until the playoffs when things get a lot more serious. And he's a guy, between him and Rui, shooting, one guy's shooting 49% from the field from 3. You got Rui, who's probably at 46% from the field from 3.
Kennard is 2nd in the NBA or 1st. I think he's first in the NBA. Yeah. In percentage, and Rui's like 4th.
Right. These guys are snipers out there. So the only question for me is, can they assert themselves and just stay engaged enough to make this thing, to realize the importance of the regular season and how it's going to play into the regular season, right? Last year, I think we actually did kind of look at things and say, this regular season stuff is important. We didn't coast. We just, ended up getting a really bad matchup as far as, we didn't know it at the time, but that Minnesota team was probably the worst matchup that we could possibly get in that first round. Yeah. And then you throw, obviously you fast forward to this year, and DeAndre Ayton, for every question that I have, we also got an answer, right? He concerns me, but Kleber and Hayes, I think they can give us enough energy. And hell, against the Knicks, we threw Rui at the 5. And against Denver, put Rui at the 5.
Rui is great against Denver, and I don't know why or how that works, but he does very well against them.
And the hibachi turns that it gets extra hot, man. Man, he got the onions out making volcanoes in Denver, man. But for every question I got about Rui, I mean about Ayton, or about some things that aren't feeling right, the defensive energy. When you show the Knicks, you saw it against the Knicks, we can play defense. But some of that comes with some noise, right? And I'm gonna throw it back to you, which is this whole Bron, piece of the Lakers playing better without LeBron and without him being. And Rui actually, he said, I don't think Rui meant to be polarizing or meant to kind of, get stuff started. But he said they asked him how, what do you think was the difference in that Knicks game? He's like, man, the spacing was great, and everybody took that statement and ran with it to say, when LeBron's playing, the spacing isn't great. So, what do you think about that aspect and what we're hearing with this whole, Austin Reeves and Luka minus Bron gives the Lakers the best version of themselves?
No, the thing is that the LeBron, Luka, and Austin combination, the least, they have the least amount of experience being on the court together, because neither one, they've never been able to been healthy all at the same time. There's always one of them, you know what I'm saying, cereal, no milk, ham, no burger type situation, right? And so they always have had one of them out. So they've had to always kind of play off of each other in that capacity. But if you look at it so far this year, they're like a +7 when all three of them are out there. And they actually play defense better when all three of them are out there too. So ironically, that's not the issue. There just hasn't been enough tape on them to be able to do so. But when you get those three together and they find their rhythm, tell me how you're going to stop those three when they get down the stretch. Then and when they playing off of each other, it's a tough problem to deal with. Yeah. And if you another big guy or another spacer out there, you're cheating off of dead-eye shooters.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about that at all. I love the people who think that's the situation and think that all they want to. I think it's great, because I think when you get to the playoffs, now you can lean on each other, and nobody has to take the brunt of the blow and stuff. And it's the playoffs is a long, grueling situation. You don't want to have to be like with Minnesota last year. They had to work because of the length and stuff. But the reality is they were leaning on Ant so much,
right,
to be their offensive firepower that wears you down. The Lakers won't have to be like that.
They don't. The a lot of noise around the Lakers not beating teams that's 600, or better.
There's
a lot of noise. Yeah, not a lot of success against teams that are 500 or better. And they basically said the Lakers are, feasting off the bottom feeders, and their current state is that of, and I think Charles said, he's like, basically the Lakers are irrelevant. I disagree. The thing that gets me with the Lakers, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I don't know. There was a passing of the torch in Miami with LeBron in 2012, right? They came off that terrible loss to Dallas that still gives me night. I wake up in cold sweats to this day. The double doink, the loss to Dallas, all the Jay Cutler injury and the NFC Championship, all etched in my mind. These losses keep me up at night and wake me up in cold sweats. That Dallas loss was diabolical. And coming into that next year, there was a clear communication around whose team it was and who was going to be the engine to drive it forward. And I thought I personally felt then it helped Miami. One, it put the responsibility on LeBron to quiet the noise around who's, the main guy making this thing happen, right? And it put us, the Heat, in a situation at the time to where it left no doubt as to who the alpha was on that team. I would like to see that with the Lakers, and because of the whole muddy, is this LeBron's last year? Luka's never been that kind of leader, but he has to be, right? You saw it with Shea. You saw it with Tatum. These young kids, and we talked about Bron taking the heat off of a lot of these younger stars to where they didn't have to take on that responsibility. And Luka needs to take on that responsibility, and it needs to be communicated. This is his team, right? As much as the media wants to try to deflect that blame back to LeBron, in year 23, that should be quickly squelched, because this is Luka's team. The team has been put together around him to be as successful as possible. And in the future, they've already said that LeBron most likely won't finish his career in LA, right? The writing's on the wall. There's no deal etched in stone for him to continue playing after this year. So what I'm saying is, in order for us to take that next step, Luka, ownership, JJ Redick need to come on out and say it and put that responsibility on Luka, because as a superstar, you got to feel that stress and you got to feel that strain. I think some of these losses that we're seeing right now, I'm not blaming Luka because he's playing awesome. Statistically, he's putting up great numbers, but there's some components of his game with the crying, with the whining, with the, you know, the lapses on defense, and some of the things that is not him per se. He makes up for it, don't get me wrong, but when you play these 500, 600 teams, you can't have a lot. You can't have those types of what I call chinks in your armor as the leader, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that and my thought process there around, you know, just making it known who's the leader of this team and who's going to carry us to the promised land in LA?
Yeah, I think you know, obviously LeBron has always had that type of presence. You know what I'm saying? But look, the thing about LeBron is he's also been, you know, he's a guy who, you know, commands and kind of has a large gravitational pull, mm-hmm. but his style of play is so fluid and so flexible that while his presence may be strong, his game is not one that you have to work around. And he can either play off of you or do something similar to what you. In other words, he can be a guy who is doing what Luka does when Luka is resting, or mm-hmm. he can be a guy that's playing off of Luka when Luka's on the court and, you know, becoming a finisher.
Right.
And so they have to be able to see that and adjust to that and know that LeBron is going to make that type of adjustment as you move further along. And then mm-hmm. ever so often, if you need him, you know, to step up or something like that, then he has that in you. He's got the bullets in the chamber to go ahead on and do it for one game, one quarter.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes the Lakers really, really dangerous, because you mm-hmm. can Luka, and mm-hmm. Austin and LeBron. Austin because he's a lesser player, LeBron because he's older. But both of those guys can, at spot duty, be the best player on the court for a stretch. And mm-hmm. so you can go into every single game saying you got one of these guys that can take over a game, and every team can't say that. So it's up to Luka to do so with his play. And like you said, cut out the BS and mm-hmm. focus in, because that's really the only thing. If he just cuts that out and stops worrying about it, then he'll play through it and it'll work out long term, game in and game out. And it is. We're not gonna sit here and talk like the Lakers, you know, is an 8th place team. Mm-mm. You know, they're sitting right there at the 5-6 spot, you know, in a great position. But we're talking about setting them up long term. So
I think. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say what's interesting about this whole situation is, as much as I get upset and aggravated with I don't enjoy watching them as much as I used to, because I feel like I'm not getting everything I should be getting out of them. And I look up and I'm like, man, they still a 3. They, like you said, they 2 games out of being a game and a half out of a 3 seed. We got all of this talent. The piece that I'm really searching for, we've never seen a guy play 23 years at a high level, right? Yeah. We saw the closest thing I came up with is Tim Duncan in that 2014, 2013, 2012 range with the Spurs, and Pop kind of found the right mix of infusing the youth and handing this thing over to Kawhi and Tony Parker. If you remember that, mm-hmm. they also played a different style of basketball. That's why it landed. They were sharing the ball. They were moving it. There really was no alpha like a Luka to challenge Tim Duncan in that way, right? And I know it sounds crazy, but the NBA and this Lakers team, it almost like you have to devour. One of these guys has to devour the other. And unfortunately, I think you hit the nail on the head for me is LeBron needs to be utilized in spurts. right?
Mhm.
But now the reality is this: Luka and Austin Reeves need to be handling that ball. They need to be making things happen. They need to be going after theirs, right? This is their prime. They need to understand the responsibility. LeBron's gonna get his. I've never seen, well, like you say, LeBron always finds a way to fit in and find his way,
Impact the game. That's right.
impact the game. So for them, their strengths, and you and I both know, sometimes it's not about highlighting the weaknesses of the guy and the players that you have. How do we lean into the strengths?
That's
Austin
why.
Reeves.
That's why I like the Luke Kennard pickup, because we
Yeah,
doubled down on what we're already good at and said, let's make sure our offense is prolific AF. Like we're not gonna
correct.
mess around. We're gonna boat race your ass on offense, and then we can get better on defense and spurts in the game. And honestly, all we need is one stretch where we shut you down defensively, and that may be enough.
Correct. And that's the part where instead of us, and like you said, we haven't had a ton of time with Bron, Austin, and Luka together on the court. And most likely in the regular season, Bron's going to miss more time just because he's trying to get his body right. He's trying to stay fresh. The edict right now for this Lakers team, Luka and Austin, it's your responsibility to go get points and get everybody else involved.
Mm-hmm.
When LeBron's on the court, it's his responsibility to find a way how to impact the game, whether it be through rebounds, whether it be through running the court, whether it be through rebounding and getting out into the open court and running the fast, whether it be through drawing fouls. I don't care if he needs to, take what I call, it might be a working in kind of phase of this new kind of style, because we see when Luka and Austin Reeves, I've seen enough of it. It's not that LeBron coming in makes them less talented. I think they just start LeBron's gonna get his touches. And no, the offense gonna start with Luka, or the offense gonna start with Austin. They make that decision, right? And I'm a Bron lover, but at this point, the thing that makes this team go best is an aggressive Austin Reeves and a super aggressive Luka. LeBron's gonna find his way to get us 22 to 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists
every night.
Every night he's gonna find it. So I'd rather them go get theirs and let Bron figure it out than the opposite way, because in a 7-game series, we already know where it's gonna go because we've seen it for the last 19 years. LeBron is gonna be just fine in the playoffs.
That's right, especially when you don't got to play every night.
Yeah,
that's right.
Just fine. So go ahead and let's put that pressure on Luka to say, this is your team. You got to get us organized, and we got to hit 120. I think you probably had a magic number, 123 every night, to say you had a good night. Same thing for Austin. You guys make sure that happens, and the rest kind of takes care of itself, because the energy guys, the depth, man, we got so many guys, man. Vando, Kleber, we got Laravia, Smart, Rui, Kennard. Come on, man. Do you think anybody in the West jumping out the chair to play us? I don't think so.
Hey, look, on that note, which one of those players is the wild card? Who's the wild card that's like, okay, when this guy is on, this takes us next level? Because I'm going to give us Austin, LeBron, and Luka that they have an impact on the game in some way, shape, or form that's going to give us what we need.
Yeah.
But who's the wild card? Which one of you said, look, man, when this guy does his thing, boy, we tough?
Marcus Smart.
Okay.
He's the guy. He's the guy, because he's the glue. He's the tough guy. He's the diving on the floor. He's also the guy on offense. That ball finds its way into his hands quite a bit. He's taking I don't know if you noticed the last 2 months, he's taking a lot of big shots and they're wide ass open, and those are the shots that defenses are conceding to him. And it reminds me of Rondo and his impact when we got in 2020, when he got into the playoffs, and you were like, oh my God, Smart is a big time, big lights player. So if we can get him, to the playoffs healthy, and we said that as soon as we signed Marcus Smart, the first thing you and I texted to each other, we just got to keep getting him healthy to the playoffs.
Get him through the season.
Get him through the season. And once he gets through the season, he's going to guard the best offensive player, wing, on the oppositions, whoever we're playing, and then 2, he's sneaky good offensively. He'll break your heart. You know, he'll knock down. You'll look up. You're like, man, one night he might have 15. The next night he might have 17 with 3 assists and rebounds, and you know, in a role where he's the 5th, 6th option maybe. So right now, I would say Marcus Smart is my guy, who I think if we get him right and he plays high level ball, we're damn near unstoppable.
Stat of the night.
Okay, what you got for me?
The Lakers played the Knicks. Marcus Smart was 1 for 10 shooting, 10% shooting.
Yeah.
Plus minus plus 23.
Give it to me now. Okay, all right. Jesus,
bro.
He's
dude, like that. If he makes shots, it's over.
It really is. When he makes threes, when he gets to the bucket, and you know, is able to finish, and he's crafty. He's not as talented as Rondo with the ball offensively in his hands, as far as the decision making and the scoring. And towards the end of Rondo's career, he was starting to lace that 3, right? Really shoot it well, but that's amazing. 1 for 10 and a plus 23. He's dirty work, man. You see him rooting right out, you know, spinning off screens, fighting through screens, you know, denying. He brings us a level of toughness, and it's not surprising that he would have that kind of impact on the game. And I didn't know that stat, but it's just, you know, my casual eye watching, and I'm like, man, he brings so much to this Lakers team through all the little things that he does, and it shows up in the box score. The impact that he's having.
My guy,
who you got?
Is dominating.
Oh, Lord have mercy, man.
Red stripe, man.
Red stripe. Everything Irie with him. He said, man, after they lost, they trying to turn me into Clint Capella. And Clint Capella said, he said, man, you got God. 2 of the best creators in the game. You got Luka and you got Brian, man. Lock in, keep me out of it, man. You're trying to make me Clint Capella, man.
Yeah, but I just you can't teach 7 foot. No. You can't teach, you know, his touch around the basket. And last year, if he would have given us, you know, 80% of what he can give us, I think we changed the whole fortune of our series against Minnesota.
Man, he reminds me a lot of he's like Anthony Davis without the damn talent. Sometimes Anthony would shoot that soft floater, man, and when it was falling, it looked beautiful. And I see Ayton, man, all 7 foot, 245, 50 pounds of him, scream across the lane, and he shoot that push shot and it hit the back of the rim. And I don't even have hair, man. I start pulling, I get the tweezers out, man. I'm tweezing the hair out, man. If you're gonna stuff the ball, man, go dunk it. His game is so finesse. Do you think he's been with, you know, Portland? They couldn't get it out of him. He's been with was it Phoenix?
When they went to they got it out of him.
Yeah. Can we get him to where he's happy again? And he's not disruptive in a team. I think it's just more, he just seems so unhappy, right? And his effort and energy is down. So do you think we can get his energy back up to where he's aggressive and playing hard the way we would like to see him?
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I think that's why I have him as the wild card, because when he's with force, and I'm never going to think that DeAndre Ayton is going to play with force offensively. Yeah, he does lead the team in dunks, so he is getting around the rim and stuff like that. But he plays the most for the big guy, for the centers, right? Yeah. So he is getting, you know, in paint touches and turning them into, you know, putbacks and dunks and stuff like that. But I just need him to be a force defensively. He's starting to pick up his blocks and his ability to rebound. If you give me that, okay, make sure that a guy like Rudy Gobert has no impact. If you can negate Rudy Gobert and make sure he has no impact, then I think the Lakers can handle everything else that Minnesota has. You know what I'm saying? As an offset to that. And so to me, he's the thing that we don't have enough. You know, you can never teach size, and you get into one of those where you're playing a long team and you need a physical force. If he can give us that, man, just play hard. I'm not even talking about nothing fancy here. Just fight hard for rebounds. A more skilled version of Mitchell Robinson. You give me that, and we can do work.
I got the answer for you, and it's gonna sound. You know who can get that out of him? Luka, and he's going. And when I say, you know, I thought about Michael Jordan. Remember what was that in the Last Dance where they showing Michael? He looking at, hey man, you like. I think it's gonna take some of that, with him, and not in a way a berating way. I think it's more so. Luka's like, look, man, I'm turning Jackson Hayes into a damn, you know, perennial all-star, right? He if he got your minutes, he would really be a top 3 producer in the West at center. He'd average 20 and, you know, 15 and, you know, 3-4 blocks a game. So I think from a standpoint where, again, there's certain players and there's certain leaders that have to, certain leaders have to, you know, put that type of battery in that type of player, right? And Luka is the guy. He's like, come on, man, I need you, right? When I go to this rim, I need you rolling hard because I'm gonna toss it up there to you, and you break every hand around the rim, trying to tear that damn rim off the damn backboard because I'm gonna put it there for you. Luka, I get that he's, you know, he's a foreign guy and maybe that's not their way, but I also think Luka shows his disgust. And watch the body language with Luka when he blows a layup, and watch him. He's sometimes that can get you to where, you know, you don't need the guy rolling his eyes at you. I think Ayton needs that kick, kind of similar to how Steph can do it with Draymond. Right, yeah. He's one of the few guys who I think can put that battery in Draymond, and Draymond is already kind of tilted in that way. But I think he's able to, you know, get the best out of guys, Steph, and just kind of what he's playing with. We need that from Luka. I brought you here. I'm the one who co-signed. You're not gonna make me look bad, bro. We're not gonna, you know, you too big, too big to fail. You know, it's one literally. He's one of those guys who there's no reason why he should not be a high level producer with this type of talent around him. He's got shooting around him. He's got playmakers around him. All he needs is, I think, Luka in his ear, telling him, you know, hey man, you can do it. Let's go. When he hang his head, pick your damn head up, man. Let's go. Yeah. Get down this court. But that also requires what? Luka to do the same. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thoughts on what you call them? Dominating. Dominating. Every time I see that, man, he makes me laugh, man. Just sitting there looking all crazy with his blonde, looking like with the blonde braids, man. If you don't get out of here and dye your hair back black and get us some victories, man.
Come on, Drew Hill.
Cisco the Dragon, that center, man. What the hell are we doing? 7 foot Cisco the Dragon. That thong. Let me see you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Okay, on that note, who do we have, man, that we trust? Last year, we went to the playoffs, and JJ didn't trust anybody on the bench. He didn't trust any of them, right? Yeah. But once again, how does your team get better? Players who are on your team get better. Rookies become second-year players. New players become, you know, develop and get better, right? If you said, okay, you got your starting 5 of Aiden, Bron, Rui, Aiden, Bron, Austin, Luka, and who's Smart?
Yeah.
Okay. who do you trust on the bench?
It's gonna sound crazy. Vando. I trust Vando because now he's starting to develop that little short corner three. So I think he feels comfortable. He's only taking those shots offensively. He's getting a little bit. He's not in the dunker spot anymore. So I think he's in a position where he doesn't feel the stress and strain of trying to play make and have to, do some of the things that you have to do as a player in that dunker spot. He can lock in as a terrorizing wing, right? And I think from me kind of watching him, he's so mature, man. He's had his minutes cut down dramatically, right?
Yeah,
when you look at all of, he hadn't said a peep. I haven't heard anything negative. He understands his role, and it's almost, for me, he's the guy that I trust him to do his damn job. I've never had a moment to where he wasn't giving max effort. He brings again some toughness to this team. Anytime there's a skirmish or a little dust up, Vando's always in the mix. You pair him. I know you got a fun, you have the fun fact and fun stat, but I think Smart, Vando, and Jackson Hayes together, their plus minus was insane together, right? Just defensively. I just trust Vando to do what he does best, which is, defend at a very high level. He's gonna give you great energy on, the offensive end, running the floor, rebounding. He's one of those guys, who, from my perspective, he understands his role. He's not making waves. You saw Luka and JJ Redick get into it a couple of games ago, and who stood up and, kind of played mediator, got in between JJ and Luka, and he did it very discreetly, got up, kind of clapped and smiled out the corner of his mouth. He said something to Luka. He's evolving and emerging as a real leader of the team too. And I respect that from, as a player who, anytime your minutes get cut and you're not getting the time that you probably would want on the court, he could have went the opposite direction, and he's only locked in more. Every time he comes into the game, it's very rare that I'm, disappointed with the production and the effort that he's putting out on the court, man. So, and I know in a 7-game, series, he's the guy who, if I had to, look on that bench and say they're going to give me exactly what I expect, Vando would be that guy.
Very good.
Yeah. What about you? What you thinking?
I think that, if you looked on the bench after you have your starters and you have Smart as a starter, I think that who he trusts is Jackson Hayes, Jake LaRavia, Vando, Rui, and Luke. So think about that. Think about how many you got. 5 guys you trust right now: Luke Kennard, Vando, Rui, LaRavia. Right, that's 4.
Right.
And who am I missing? And
Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes.
And so juxtapose that to what we had last year going into the first round, when he didn't trust anybody really to come off the. He barely trusted Gabe. He trusted Gabe a little bit, right? And that was it. He didn't trust anybody. He didn't trust Hayes. He didn't trust Vando. He definitely didn't trust Dalton. He didn't trust any of those guys last year. And so it changes so much now, because I think he's just saying, when you got your big 3, if you can supplement 1 of those, 2 of those guys in there, they kind of protect each other, right? The LaRavias of the world and the Vandos of the world protect you on your wings and make sure that you got some defenders. And then Luka or Austin make sure you got scorers. Yeah. And I think that is a much, much better formula for us. That's why I said, if the big 3 can get going, man, you got the horsepower to do damage.
Do you and this, obviously we'll find out here shortly in a couple of weeks. Do you think, Jay, normally a playoff rotation is about 8 guys, right? What you just named, that puts us in 10. And we've seen it before. We've seen coaches really go into the depth of the bench. Do you think JJ's seen the light and he's going to tap into that?
I think he's gonna tap into it, but what I think is he's gonna look at it like series by series, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You know, depending on who we're playing and who we have going, I think he's gonna feel like certain guys is gonna be important, you know, for certain series, right? And so I think he's gonna play probably 8, and the other 2 are gonna get some time, but not as much time, depending. You know what I'm saying? And
I hear you. I hear you. I just don't think. I don't think he can do that, and leave certain guys on the bench, right? When I think about the starters, and you think about, you know, Smart, Kennard, Jackson Hayes, Rui. These are all guys that can contribute and give you a huge lift. Vando.
They change a game.
They can change a game. I think his mindset needs to shift. And like you said, he went into, I want to say, what was that, game 4? Where we put every egg in every basket against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And we rode the starters the entire second half. And he came damn close to being right. You know, we were probably, you know, about a couple of possessions, maybe a possession away from winning that thing. And I think the reality for me this year with JJ is, as a coach, he has to, and you talked about it last year, you can't give up on guys, right? Yeah. This year he has more bandwidth to give up on guys, right? Because he got more in the pool to pull from. However, I think if he uses the depth the way we think he needs to, it will allow the Lakers to unlock a side of them that's going to create havoc and hell for other teams to deal with, right? And I'm not saying, and I get exactly what you're saying, which is certain matchups are going to call for who might, you know, be called upon.
Yeah.
But hell, he should not be shy about, even if it's not. Again, LeBron is in year 23. You can, what we've seen now, you can pull LeBron, and I'm not saying it just to be polarized. You can pull LeBron and tell these guys, hey, let's go pick up the pace. Let's go. We want to run, right? We want to play a little small. It's not so much what the other team is dictating to us, it's what we want to dictate to them. If we want to,
you can even put LeBron in and say, I want you to run with this group.
Correct.
But we're going to do it for 5 minutes and just give me everything you got for 5 minutes, because I know I can take you out and you can have a breather, and we'll be okay if you go in. And so not only can you pull him if you need to do something, you can add him for a potent amount of time with the young guys, and he'll run with them.
Man.
But he just can't do it like he used to for so as long as he can. But when he get out there and get to going, he can run, and then you take him out.
Talk to me. It's like NASCAR or IndyCar racing, where you got teammates, and you know certain races you go in, hey, you the rabbit today. You're not even gonna win the race. You shouldn't win this race, because your whole role and responsibility is to, you know, wear the other guys out. You're gonna be the pace guy, right?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna be the guy who's blocking, and you know. I think there's a lot of what I call tactical things that JJ can do with this roster to maximize it. And I don't see why, you know, a Kleber should not be deployed with the effort and the energy that he plays with. He got to get out there. He knows Luka.
You can put Kleber at the 4. You can put Kleber at the 4 with Jackson Hayes and beat a team up physically if you wanted to, and I think he would do just fine, because guess what? Kleber can shoot the 3, so he can go out and be a stretch 4 for you, and you can be a big physical team if you want to. You know what I mean? There's so many mixes and matches, and JJ got cooking to push every little button the right way. But that's what you have to be able to do. That's what it takes, because we don't have the overwhelmingly most talented, most athletic, youngest team in there, but we got some things that other teams don't have. And if you push the right buttons, you can make all of it work, man. You can unlock all of it. That's what has me excited, is the fact that we have 4 or 5 guys that you feel good about. You know what I'm saying? And you can mix and match it, man. You bring Luke Kennard out there with Rui and put them dudes on the wing. Pick your poison, bro.
Right. and the energy conservation or the burnout, right? Where you go in and you say, there should be no moments of this series, or I'll drill it down. There should be no moments in this game where I'm not getting max effort from everybody on the court, because I got relief for everybody.
That's right.
Duplication. And if a guy gets a hot hand and you want to leave one in, that's fine. But everybody should be on alert and everybody should be on call to stay ready, right? And to be expecting to play. There should be nobody on that bench outside of, was it Drew Timme? And unfortunately our guy from Tennessee, Dalton, Connect Four has found his way out of the lineup. And quiet as kept. Theroux?
Dude, he was 5 for 5 for 3 in the G League the other night, man. Look, that guy's gonna be a player for the Lakers, man.
I'm talking about now. A wing that can play with that again. I'm not saying he's going to transform himself into this huge contributor this year.
Yeah,
but he can help.
That's right.
Get him ready, because when you play in OKC and you need somebody to throw at Alexander, and you need some youth, you need some athleticism, or you got Dort running around.
Yes.
Yeah, you just need that. He's 5 fouls or 6 fouls, and he's got high energy. So, this is a different roster. This is a different style of Lakers team that we've seen in the past. Like you say, it's not the sum is greater than the parts in certain instances. And I think that's where we're going to see if JJ takes the next step in the next, his evolution as an NBA coach. Can he, navigate it and put it all together to where we feel like we got a guy who's truly in control of this organization, in sense of, making sure we got the right guys out there to make, the necessary plays and adjusting to what we're seeing out there on the court and dictating what we want to do on the court really is the big thing for me. So
I'm excited to see it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. So all that Bron slander, all that Bron talk, chill, relax. We haven't even got to the playoffs yet. When we get to the playoffs, we'll don't worry. 2-3 will be ready. My guy will be ready.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. I know we gotta stop, and it's been amazing. I missed it, man. The free agency and the draft approaching. We got some other things we're gonna talk about, and we got second wave of free agency and third wave here over the next couple of days. So we'll get back and talk about that. We got Lakers and NBA just in full effect. So I'll let you kind of wrap it up. But I'm happy we're back. I'm happy I'm finally over this damn Rams loss. I went back and watched the game for the first time this weekend. So I know what my Bears need to do. It's just a question of can we get it done?
Who do you least want to say real quick?
Yeah.
Give me an answer. Who do you least want to see in the playoffs first round?
For NBA?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would say for me, probably Houston.
Okay.
Yeah. They got some holes over there, but I think what's the coach name over there? He kind of the guy. Oh man, I can see his face. He was in Boston. Houston's coach, man. Who's Houston's head coach?
Oh,
I'll look it up while you're talking. Houston Rockets head. I want to say Ime, right?
Ime Udoka.
Ime Udoka, yeah. I think he's one of those guys who, he's kind of former player, tough guy, and he knows, LeBron, and he knows some of the tendencies of the Lakers, to the point where I think, you throw in KD, that's a series, first round that's a little bit kind of scary. And they're young and they run like crazy. They just don't shoot it well outside of Durant. And they got some defensive issues with Sengun. However, their energy and effort in the series, I think they ratcheted it up against the Lakers. So I wouldn't want to see those guys. How about you?
San Antonio.
Ooh. I don't think nobody won. Where are they at right now? What's are they 1?
2.
Okay. So if we got into what, 6 or 7? Is that right?
Yeah. You don't want to get in the 7. If you're in the 7th seed, you would play
7th seed. Yeah.
So we need to get above that 6 and stuff, six and up to avoid them in the first round because they look pretty solid at 2. They just beating on teams. Like
man, wasn't he crying? Man, I saw Wemby crying after the game. Man, that dude, he cares, man. That's another piece. He's fully invested. He went and sat with Monks. He went and hung out with KG. He was all over the place trying to get his game right. So I definitely see what you're saying there for sure.
Yeah, I just think that Dylan Harper and De'Aaron Fox, it's kind of a headache to deal with, man. I would only hope with them is they're young and maybe they get cold, you know what I'm saying, get the playoff jitters or something like that, man. But Wemby's just a headache to deal with. We don't have a matchup for him, you know what I'm saying? And so and even when he leaves the court, man, they spread you out and start shooting threes, man. They're a tough team. They got when you keep getting first round pick, number one picks, at some point it's gonna turn the corner.
At some point it's gonna mesh. And they actually, the young coach they have, off that Popovich tree, he's a sharp guy. He's got them playing really, really, really high level basketball. They got they're a high IQ team. And like I said, Wemby, you and I both kind of question his body and can he again
help? Still do. I just, but right now he's fine, right? But I still
we question, again, in a series where they let you get physical is where I was going. Regular season game's pretty clean. In the playoffs, there starts to be what I call just there's going to be a lot more physicality. There's going to be a lot more deterrence, right? You're not just running through the lane. Now you're getting hit and knocked around, right? He doesn't have a whistle just yet. The Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, his whistle, because he's a big. So that's the other piece. You can kind of rough him up, and the refs give you a little leeway. So
draw some fouls.
So but I hear you. I think as a collective, man, San Antonio is a damn handful, and if we that'll just be unlucky if we somehow drew them right out the gates. That's a team I did not want to face.
No, we need to get to 3 so we can be at the top of it. So we wouldn't see them till the second round. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't see them till the second round, and maybe we catch them and they got an injury or 2, or they beat up or tied or something like that. Maybe catch them, but you want to get as high as possible so you can avoid them and OKC as long as you can. I'm
not as concerned with OKC, man. I feel like that's OKC doesn't spook me as much. I would rather I don't know if was Hartenstein. He's actually, is he injured? Well, I think he's injured right now.
If we ended up at 4, we could see them in the second round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you got to beat them and San Antonio. So
you want to limit it. I get what you're saying. You want to limit to just having to deal with one over the course before you get to the finals.
The only way you do that is to get as high as possible. So maybe they have a chance to get knocked out in the previous earlier round. So we'll see. But this has been great, man. This has been wonderful. Another day in the books, the H&M Sports Academy. Please remember, everyone, to like, share, and subscribe. If you like this content, we will be continuing to grow. Pete, the swag.
Yeah, man.
The gear.
Like DJ Moore said, man, we got rid of DJ Moore. I heard a disturbing report too, man. DJ talking about he was over the moon when he heard he was going to Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
But it's always FGB. I always love DJ. Like DJ said, it's always FGB. We got a lot out of DJ, but I also think it's gonna be interesting. We need Luther Bird and we need O'Rone. I've been killing it saying the ninth overall pick. It's time for these guys to step up. But DJ, man, I ain't like hearing that. You over the moon about leaving Chicago. We'll see till you get with old Allen running around with the ball all loose.
That's right.
Get the ball knocked out his hands. We'll see how much you love it out there.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Once again, my name is Harry. We are H&M Sports Academy. We're out tonight, but we'll see you very soon. Have a great night, y'all.